What we want to cover today is combo mechanics and just the general flow of the system of how King of Fighters works. One thing you just want to learn about is you basically combo a normal attack into a special move, and if the character has a command move, you can insert that in between. So the normal flowchart is jump attack, ground attack, command move, and then special move.
Gotcha. It's very similar to most of the very standard 2D fighting game formula, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You can obviously replace a special move for a super, but basically it's the same thing.
So normally you don't have a lot of chains, except into the command normals, right?
Right.
So there's like that extra little level of combo ability in King of Fighters.
And it definitely helps, kind of bridge the gap and give you a little bit more time to cancel into, say, a super.
More hit confirm ability.
More hit confirm, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It's great for hit confirms. In fact, characters that don't have a command attack, it's actually a little more challenging to kind of hit confirm to like more complicated specials and supers. Another thing is, of course, going to Hyperdrive mode. Hyperdrive mode, once again, is just your ability to cancel multiple specials, drive cancel after drive cancel, or just super cancels. One example, probably the best example, would be the character King in the game.
Mm-hmm.
She can cancel her trap shot, which is basically an uppercut special, and the last frame of it, you can cancel that into a tornado kick, which is a forward moving attack. And then at the end of the tornado kick, you can trap shot. Gotcha. So you got the trap shot tornado kick loop. End it with a fireball, or end it with a super.
Gotcha. Now, can you do like the same move over and over again? Like if you have like Kyo, can you just uppercut kind of thing?
Actually, there's a certain rules where you cannot cancel the same special move into the exact same special move unless you're doing a regular special move into the EX version of it.
Oh, interesting.
So you have to cancel a different version.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. So if I actually wanted to go and just sit down and learn these combos, I mean, you guys got a really nice, robust training mode and everything for that, right?
Yeah, we do, and not only that, we actually have trial modes. And what they do is they put you through a vigorous amount of combos that some practical, some impractical, but you'll definitely be able to learn a huge variety of combos for your character.
Oh, so it's very similar like the Street Fighter 4 trial modes and the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 missions and such, right?
Absolutely, you'll have a lot of fun. If you love those mission modes in the previous games, you'll definitely have a lot of fun trying to do them. Don't even try to do the 8 and 9 ones. There's 10 combos for each, and they get really hard.
Okay, cool. No, I want to get to those. I want to tackle those.
They're fun though. They're very, very fun.
I love trial mode.
When it comes to the jumps we were talking about earlier, we have your hops, hyper hops, jumps, and hyper jumps. But there's actually very different ways of executing the actual move itself. For example, first of all, the hop itself. You want to tap one of the top 3 directions, so up, back, up, or up, forward, and you have to very quickly return it back to neutral. Some people actually find it easier to tap it real quick and hold down.
Right. That was actually a common tip in CVS2 days when you were there with the grooves with the low jumps. Yeah,
definitely. That's when I first started. I just held down immediately to help me with my hops. The hyper hop carries more horizontal range. And it's very similar how you execute it. The only difference is you gotta tap one of the bottom of 3 directions first, so down, down back, or down forward, and then you tap the up 3 directions and return it back to neutral.
I guess it's also similar in this game as it is in Marvel, where you have a jump and a super jump.
Right.
So it's like a jump and a super jump version, except you can't hold up. You just gotta tap it.
Exactly, that's the best way to do it. It's just the same thing, but you just gotta return it back to neutral. You cannot hold it. Another thing is, for anytime you're doing the hyper versions of the jump or the hop, there's a different way of doing it. You can dash and just do a hop. So basically you can hold forward, so you're dashing, then you tap the up 3 directions and return to neutral. That will automatically activate the hyper version of
Gotcha. Okay, so while you're dashing, in other words, you can't do a regular hop or a regular jump.
You cannot.
Gotcha.
Right. It will always be in a hyper version.
Okay.
So in similar fashion, your jump, just like any other game, you hold one of the 3 directions and you hold it. Okay?
Right.
So that's simple. Your hyper jump is the same thing as a hyper hop, except this time you hold the final 3 directions.
It's like a super jump in Marvel.
Exactly the same.
Okay.
And just like the hyper hop, you can do it when you're dashing, and when you jump, when you're dashing, it will automatically be hyper jump. One last tip that I found really, really easy, instead of just tapping it down and up, people that are familiar with doing the tiger knee motion,
right?
You can just kind of roll your joystick from a down position, roll it upward, and I'll automatically do the hyper jump or hyper hop.
Gotcha.
Depending whether or not you leave the joystick.
Okay.
They all have different uses. For example, the hyper jump is a great jump to cover the gap when you're full screen part. Okay, it's also travels the furthest, of course. It stays airborne the longest, so if you want to jump over fireballs, you do. But of course, there's give and take. The longer you're in the air, the more susceptible you are to the anti-air.
Right.
The hop is, of course, very, very useful for attacking.
Okay.
And if you factor in the different types of block stun and hit stun, different moves will do. For example, if you do a blowback attack, a hard punch and hard kick together, it actually makes them block longer.
Oh,
They're
wow.
actually in a
Okay,
longer
okay.
block stun. So if you're constantly hopping, you will push them into. It's harder for them to react.
And it doesn't matter if you're doing a hyper hop or a regular hop or any of these jumps, they still have to block high all the jump attacks, right?
That's correct. All the jump attacks, they have to block high. I guess it's considered an overhead if you put it that way.
So if you have a move, say, that hits low enough and you do a quick hop and into that move, it's almost like an instant overhead in a way, right?
Right. There's characters such as Leona. She can do a very quick hyper jump a light punch, and basically it will hit them as instant overhead.
Okay.
And then you can cancel that move into a special.
Oh, nice. Okay,
So
cool.
it's very sneaky. Another use of these hops is basically because the hops are so rapid, so quick, so low to the ground. You can do these mix-up games where you don't do any attack and you start with a low attack. So you do an empty hop.
Empty hop. Yeah, there you go.
Empty
Nice.
hops, empty hops into throws.
Now, I know there's a lot of ground fireballs in King of Fire, so I can imagine, like, hyper hops are good for getting over, like, those kind of fireballs, right?
Exactly. Hyper hops are perfect for getting over low ground fireballs and attacking an opponent, especially from a mid-range kind of distance.
Right.
And another use for the hyper hop is you can use that for cross-up, actually. So if you kind of condition your opponent to be blocking low at a certain distance, depending on your character, because they have different jump arcs, but most characters can do a hyper hop at a certain distance.
And they can make it over the opponent?
And make it over the opponent and cross them up. That's the beauty of King of Fighters XIII.
Wow.
Where they have so many different angles to attack in and so many different things your opponent has to worry about.
Okay.
One quick thing though, jump and hop can be done in all three directions. The hyper jump and hyper hop can only be done forward or backwards. So you can't hyper jump vertically. In 13 also, in console version specifically, they've actually changed the hit stun of a jump attack. So just make sure when you're playing console version that you have to land your jump attack quite low to the ground. So a pretty deep attack.
Really deep. Okay.
Definitely want to do a deep attack.
You're not going to kick someone at the top of the head and
You
land
don't
a
want to.
combo.
If you kick someone on the top of the head, you're going to eat a combo when you land.
Okay,
So you
gotcha.
don't wanna do that.
Okay.
There are specific moves that are command attacks in the air, such as PL's jump down hard punch, and it basically is a very quick hitting overhead punch.
Right.
And that move will actually stun the opponent a little bit longer.
Okay,
So you can be a little bit more lenient when you hit the opponent. Another example would be Iori's cross-up back light kick. And that can be done pretty. You can hit him pretty high in the head, and by the time you land, you'll still have plenty of time to combo them. So that's the jump attacks. Then you got your guard gauge. Now this is the only time when there's a little bit of variability between the cast of the entire roster, where everyone has 100 guard gauge units.
Okay.
Howard, Ralph, and Clark have 120, and Maxima and Doral have 150.
Okay.
So it takes a little bit harder to guard crush them. And when it comes to guard crushing, the more you block, the more guard gauge you lose, and when you're completely out of guard gauge, you'll get stunned.
This is very similar to Street Fighter Alpha 3 and CVS 1 and 2. They had the guard gauges as well. So basically, if you block too much, if you're too defensive, you're going to get opened up by blocking too much.
Exactly. That's what I really like about King of Fighters. It really encourages a very offensive base, and you can't just sit there in the corner all the time. There's a lot of different ways to open up your opponent.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay.
When it comes to power gauges, you got your EX move, of course, you got your supers, or what we call desperation moves, Neo Maxes, and guard cancels.
Okay.
One thing that's really cool is in this game, you build up meter very quickly as long as you're attacking your opponent with either special moves or normal attacks, and even certain special moves, if they don't connect, if they whiff, they'll still build up meter.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, is it possible? So, for example, you say you knock someone down, you can kind of whiff a couple of uppercuts to build meter.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Even on the defensive end, we call it passive build-up. When you're blocking, or even when you're getting hit, you'll build meter if they're doing specials, supers, or even Neo
Gotcha.
Maxes.
Okay, so basically, anytime the opponent lands a hit, you build a little meter.
Exactly.
Okay.
And actually, what's new to the console version of 13 is when you're blocking, you actually build up a lot more meter than the arcade version. So
Oh,
it's
really?
It builds
Okay,
up very
okay.
quickly, and it really kind of encourages you to get more options to do more high damage and combos.
Oh, that's kind of interesting then. That means, you know, if you're getting rushed down and such, thanks to this change, that you're actually going to build up a lot more meter on the defensive end then.
And not only that, the good thing about this is because it's 3-on-3, you actually pass your meter onto your next character.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. So in other words, you can get rushed down, build up all this meter, die, but you still reap some benefits from that.
Exactly. Therefore, that's why it's a lot easier for you to mount a comeback with this new power passive buildup in 13. One thing you want to notice, though, as you're building up all these meters, and it depends on what position your character is, either first, second, or third. Depends on how much meter you can save up. So your first character can save 3 stocks. Your second character can save up 4 stocks. And your third character, if you didn't use anything, you can save up to 5 stocks.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, in other words, for example, if you had all 5 of them built up, you could do like a super combo into a Neo Max.
That's really exactly right.
Wow, okay.
So there are really high damaging combos, but it is limited to how often you can do them, because obviously to do 5 stocks, you need to be your last character.
Right, okay.
So it's pretty fair and it's pretty balanced.
Wow,
in that
interesting.
respect.
Okay.
Your drive gauge is for drive canceling, super cancel, hyperdrive mode, and Neo Max. Very similar. Anytime you're hitting the opponent, or anytime they block with attacks or specials, they'll build up your drive gauge. And on the defensive end, passive build up, anytime you're getting hit or you're blocking any of their moves, special, super, Neo Maxes.
So it's basically the same way for both gauges. Just in general, like if you sit there and play a normal match, which one usually builds up faster between the two?
The drive meter definitely builds up slower than the
power
really?
Meter. Oh, okay.
So drive, if you put it that way, is more valuable.
Gotcha.
Then you got your evasive rolls, which is your roll that's activated by pushing light kick and light punch. It's good for dodging attacks, but remember, like we talked about, you can be thrown out of it, and you'll definitely be open to an attack at the end of the roll.
Right, gotcha.
So you gotta be, you want to use it sparingly.
Do different characters have different speed rolls and different length rolls?
Not different characters, but if you dash before you roll, your roll's a little bit longer.
Oh, wow, okay.
So you do roll a little bit further, but everyone does have the same amount of rolls.
Okay.
Distant.
Gotcha.
Throwing in this game is basically anytime you push forward hard punch or back hard punch anytime you're close to the opponent. If it's the hard punch version, it will always throw the opponent in front of you. If you throw with the hard kick version, either forward or back, it will always throw the opponent behind you. So it's definitely a good strategy. Let's say you got your back towards the corner, you can throw them with a hard kick version to throw them into the corner, to put it on your advantage.
Does either the kick throw or punch throw have more range than the others, or are they pretty much the same?
They're the
range?
exact same thing.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't matter if you do forward or backwards. The direction you throw the opponent is dependent on your button, not the direction you activate the throw.
Okay.
Now, throw breaking, like most games, when you tech a throw, basically, you just input throw itself. So if you try to throw me, as long as I do forward or back hard punch or hard kick, doesn't matter which direction, doesn't matter which one you use, I will break your throw.
Okay.
But I have to do it in the beginning frames of the throw itself.
Right. So in order to do the throw break, though, do you have to hold left or right? I mean, obviously in Street Fighter 4, there's this whole concept of crouch teching.
Okay.
You know, can you be at neutral to tech, or can you still be holding diagonally down when you want to throw?
You
tech?
absolutely have to stand up and either do forward or back, hard punch or hard kick. So if you're crouching and you get thrown, you make sure you go back to neutral and do forward or back. You can also dash normal through this game, and because of the ability to run in the game, you can just do a couple of pokes, for example, and once you condition the block, you dash in and you want to tilt your stick backwards and do hard punch or hard kick.
Oh, wow. Okay,
That's the easiest way to do it, otherwise you'll get a little bit of overlap.
So it's, basically you're canceling your dash by hitting back and then throwing right away.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. Now, when you tech a throw, does anybody take any damage, or do they just kind of separate each other from each other and nobody takes any damage?
Nobody takes any damage.
Okay.
And in King of Fighters, you also have something called the counter hit. And basically, counter hit is when you hit the opponent while they're attacking, like most games.
Right. During the startup frames of their attacks, right?
That's correct. In this game, you do 25% more damage if you happen to do a counter hit that's started by a blowback attack. So if you say you do a jump and hard punch, hard kick, which does a blowback, and you get a counter hit message, you'll send your opponent spinning, and basically allows you to do an extra juggle afterwards.
That was the case for all the King
That's
of
correct.
Fighter games, right?
Yeah, it does it for all the games. Even if you did it on the ground, if you manage to do a blowback and it says a counter hit on the ground, as long as you have a fast enough move, you can also re-juggle your opponent.
And you can actually cancel some of the blowbacks and the specials, right?
You can cancel every single blowback, in fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just
okay.
right.
Gotcha. So, in other words, if you are suspecting you are going to land the counter hit, you can cancel it and get a free juggle. in a lot
Actually,
of
it's
cases.
fast enough to just kind of watch it and hit confirm it.
Oh, really? Oh,
And
okay.
Just make sure you have a move that's fast enough, but you can.
Okay,
plenty of
cool,
moves.
cool. One of the other benefits that, counter hits give you, not only damage, but in Street Fighter 4, you also get increased hit stun, like on the ground, like if you do frame traps, that you hear people talk about all the time, and you hit them with the counter hit, then you get these counter hit combos. I mean, do you get that kind of same thing here in this game?
You don't. In King of Fighters, the only advantage you get is if you do a blowback attack, whether grounded or in the air, you get free juggle, but there's no special combos that only are allowed if you do a
Okay,
counter.
okay. So the benefit is just the damage. Then.
Just the damage and the extra juggle. Basically.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.